If you looked at us from the outside, you'd think we were the perfect couple. I was 39, co-founder of a fast-growing logistics software company. Hannah, my wife, was 36, a former interior designer turned full-time lifestyle influencer. We had been married for 12 years, no kids by choice, though that was more her decision than mine. We had a house that people envied, 4 bedrooms, big glass windows, minimalist everything. The kind of place where everything looked curated, even the toothbrush holder. She was always immaculate, always on brand, smiling for the camera. Sometimes I joked she loved our followers more than me. She laughed every time. I laughed too, but not always comfortably. We met in our late 20s, young, passionate, naive. I had just launched my startup. She had just started getting traction with her home decor blog. We built our lives together from scratch, or at least that's how I told the story. It felt like we'd grown into something solid, comfortable, respected. I trusted her, until I didn't. Her best friend Naomi was a frequent presence. Always around, always calling, always there. I never gave it much thought. They'd been friends since college, bonded like sisters. At the time I thought Naomi was good for her. I was wrong. It started with the texts, not even explicit ones, just strange. Late-night pings on her phone, which she began keeping face down. Once I noticed her typing furiously, smiling at her screen, then locking it when I came into the room. "Work stuff," she said, sipping wine. "Who's working at 11 p.m.? Brands in Europe. Time zones," she answered quickly, then changed the subject. I told myself I was being paranoid. Everyone works odd hours now. She's a content creator, always pitching, always negotiating, right? But the little things kept piling up. Her perfume was different, bolder. New lingerie she didn't wear around me. She started going out more, networking events, and collabs that didn't show up on her feed. She would post photos from some cafe, but something felt off, like the photos were taken earlier or recycled. I told my brother, Ethan. He waved me off. "Dude, you've always been a little intense. Don't spiral over nothing." Even Naomi laughed when I mentioned Hannah's late nights. "She's probably planning a surprise for you. Chill out, Sherlock." I wanted to believe them. I did. But something inside me wouldn't let go. Then came the conference. Every year, my company co-hosts a major logistics tech summit in Seattle. I usually fly out solo, but this time, Hannah insisted on coming. "I need a break," she said, eyes a little too wide. "Maybe some inspiration for my content." I booked us a suite. She seemed genuinely excited, flirty, affectionate, almost like her old self. Night 1 of the conference went fine. Keynote speeches, schmoozing, drinks. I was busy, so she said she'd hit a nearby spa. I came back to the room around 11 p.m. She wasn't there, no texts, no calls answered. I tried not to panic. Finally, at 12:30 a.m., she walked in, hair damp, robe over her arm, sang the spa, ran long. But she looked flushed, nervous. She climbed into bed, kissed my cheek, and turned away. The next morning, I got a message from our building's security contractor. Random. They'd upgraded our in-home system, motion alerts, door cams. I'd installed the app but never really used it. The alert was from 2 nights before the trip. It showed motion at our front door at 2:14 a.m. while I was away at a client dinner. The video? A man walking in. Familiar building. Big mistake. I zoomed in. It was Naomi's husband. The moment I recognized him, Noah, Naomi's husband, I felt my stomach collapse into itself. It wasn't just betrayal anymore. It was layers of betrayal. I replayed the footage a dozen times, hoping I was wrong. But there was no mistaking it. His awkward gait, the small tattoo behind his ear, even the damn baseball cap he always wore. It was him, entering my home, our home, in the middle of the night, while I was away. I didn't react right away. I let it sit. I needed more. Maybe it was a fluke. Maybe Naomi had sent him to drop something off. Maybe, God help me. I was still desperate for an innocent explanation. But when I dug deeper, the house of cards began to fall. I started with Hannah's laptop. She rarely used it. She was a phone addict. But I remembered the password. It hadn't changed in years. Our anniversary date, ironic. She was sloppy. In her Gmail drafts were unsent messages like digital ghosts. I hate lying to him, but we both know this isn't going away. You make me feel more than he ever has. He's so distracted with his company. We could have an actual life, not just a performative marriage. Naomi doesn't suspect a thing. God, if she found out. The timestamps lined up with Noah's late-night visits. Photos were buried in hidden folders, cleverly labeled as brand collabs. They weren't salacious, not exactly, but intimate. A hand resting on her thigh. A blurred image of Noah's face reflected in a mirror as he snapped the picture. Her in lingerie she never wore for me. The worst part wasn't the sex. It was the emotional intimacy, the inside jokes, the deep, familiar comfort they shared, the way she wrote about him, like he was the love of her life. And I was just some man she shared a mortgage with. I backed everything up, every email, image, text thread. I copied the security footage to a separate drive. Then I called Ethan. He was silent for a long time after I told him. Jesus, man, what the hell do you do now? I didn't answer him then, because I didn't know. But I knew who could help. Her name was Claire Marlowe, sharp as a knife, reputation for being ruthless in court, and, according to Ethan, the kind of lawyer who enjoys watching liars squirm. Claire didn't flinch when I laid out the evidence. She just nodded like she'd seen this movie 100 times. You've got more than enough to win, but let's play it smart. Let her walk into the trap. So we waited. I acted normal, kind even. I brought her flowers, made her breakfast. She smiled a lot more, probably thinking she'd gotten away with it. Then Claire arranged a mediation meeting under the guise of renegotiating a joint business venture Hannah and I had once started, an LLC tied to her influencer brand. Hannah walked into the sleek conference room in a white blazer, perfectly styled. She looked the part of the graceful, doting wife. Claire started gently. Before we move forward with any asset discussions, we need full transparency on both sides, she said. That includes disclosures of any private matters that could impact the division. Hannah smiled politely. Of course. Claire opened a slim folder and slid it across the table. A freeze frame from the security footage. Then an email thread. Then a still from one of the mirror selfies. I watched the color drain from Hannah's face. She tried to speak. This isn't... Claire cut her off. We have the metadata. We have IP logs. We have witness timelines. Please don't insult the intelligence in this room. Her voice was calm, brutal. Hannah looked at me. Her eyes were wide, but dry. You set me up. No, I said softly. You did that all on your own. She tried denial, briefly, then minimization, then the waterworks, right on cue. But Claire had predicted it all. Let's talk about the prenup, Claire said, as if she were ordering lunch. Because here's the thing. Hannah and I did have a prenup. She'd insisted she didn't want my business money to complicate our love. I'd drafted one mostly to protect myself from financial risk. But Claire had inserted a lesser-known clause, infidelity nullification. If adultery was proven with clear evidence, the guilty party forfeited claims to all marital assets not in their name. She thought she'd outgrown me. She forgot who I was before I became her husband. The negotiations didn't last long. Claire presented everything, the footage, the messages, the metadata trail, even a damning message from Naomi, who, once confronted, folded like paper. I didn't know, Naomi had whispered. I swear to God, I didn't know. She hadn't. But when she found out, she exploded. Turned out, Noah had been lying to both women, pretending he was trying to repair his marriage with Naomi while sneaking off with mine. Claire used Naomi as a hostile witness during the deposition. Naomi testified that Hannah and Noah had been sneaking around for at least a year, that Hannah had admitted to wanting out and was waiting for the right time. I kept the house. I kept my business. I kept the joint investment accounts because most were in my name, tied to the LLC Hannah foolishly let lapse when she rebranded last year. She walked away with her clothes, her phone, and a suitcase Claire had prepared for her at the mediation table. The white blazer looked far less impressive when she walked out of that building alone. It didn't end there. The influencer community she once thrived in, it turned on her, hard. Screenshots leaked, whispers turned into call-outs. Brands pulled contracts. Her curated life began to unravel publicly. Naomi, despite her own heartbreak, became a strange kind of ally. She texted me a few weeks after everything settled. You didn't deserve any of this. I'm sorry I ever brought her into your life. I didn't reply. I wasn't ready. But the message sat with me. Therapy helped. Time helped more. Eventually, I moved out of the house and into a loft downtown. Smaller, simpler, just mine. Sometimes I still wonder if there was a moment she considered stopping, turning back, telling me the truth. But if there was, it passed. She chose deception, repeatedly, boldly, and I chose something else. Freedom. You'd think once justice is served and the dust settles, that would be the end of the story. It's not. After something like that, you don't just move on, you deconstruct your entire reality. Every memory gets a new lens. Every happy moment becomes suspect. Every I love you replays like a line from a script. And you ask yourself, was I ever really loved, or was I just the safest option? The thing is, Hannah didn't reach out, not for weeks. No calls, no texts, no emails. Silence. Then, on a random Tuesday night about a month after the divorce was finalized, I got a knock on my door. It was her, wearing a gray hoodie, no makeup, hair in a messy bun. The polished version of her was gone. She looked human, raw, almost unfamiliar. I just wanted to talk, she said. I didn't invite her in. I leaned against the doorframe. She looked down, then met my eyes again. I don't expect forgiveness. I know I blew up everything. I don't even know who I am anymore. I didn't respond. I kept thinking I'd feel something when it was over, like relief. But I just feel hollow. Still, I said nothing. Then she did something that genuinely surprised me. She apologized, not performatively, not through tears or justifications or manipulations. Just a quiet, broken, "I'm sorry, I hurt you, I hate myself for it." And then she turned and walked away. I didn't feel satisfaction, not in that moment, just sadness. Because that was the first time I saw the real her, beneath the curated lifestyle and fake smiles and filtered stories. She wasn't the villain in a movie anymore. She was just a flawed person who'd made devastating choices and had to live with the consequences. But her pain wasn't mine to carry anymore. I didn't block her number, but I never messaged her. I deleted the photos, the emails, even the security footage. Not out of mercy, out of necessity. It was poison, all of it. And I didn't need it in my bloodstream anymore. Work became my sanctuary. The startup, which once felt like a burden in our marriage, was now a source of pride again. I started mentoring young entrepreneurs. I ran more, took up photography, reconnected with friends I hadn't seen in years. I went on a few dates, nothing serious. But I noticed something. I was different now, a little harder, a little more guarded, but also more awake, more present. There's a strange clarity that comes after betrayal. You stop taking people at face value, but you also stop wasting time on things that don't matter. 6 months after the divorce, Claire called me. "I thought you might want to know. Hannah tried to file for a reversal of the asset division." "What?" I laughed. "On what grounds?" "She's claiming emotional coercion, that you manipulated her into mediation under duress." I felt the old heat rise in my chest. "She's unbelievable." Claire wasn't worried. "We're filing a countersuit. She has no case." But I did something unexpected. I told Claire to let it go. As long as Hannah agreed in writing to a non-disparagement clause and full withdrawal of her claims, I wouldn't pursue damages or go to court again. "Are you sure?" Claire asked. "Yeah, I'm done letting her live in my head. I've already won." A week later, Hannah signed the agreement. The story ended not in a courtroom, not in a dramatic public takedown, but with a quiet signature and silence. Nearly a year later, I met someone. Her name's Riley. She's nothing like Hannah. Low-key, sarcastic, teaches literature at a small college. We met at a friend's birthday dinner, and she made fun of my blazer. We took it slow. I told her everything eventually. She didn't flinch. She just nodded and said, "That must have sucked." And then she added, "But if you got through that and still have a sense of humor, you're doing better than most." We're not perfect, but we're honest. And that feels like the rarest thing in the world. Sometimes people ask me if I'd do it differently, if I'd ignored the signs, spared myself the heartbreak, walked away sooner. But here's the thing. I needed to see it all, to feel it all, to get here, to understand who I am, what I want, what I deserve. I don't hate her anymore. I just don't need her anymore. And that's the real victory.